Um, so hello, Sarah.
Hi, Lisa. Hello, hello.
So this is brilliant. Last time I attempted to interview you for my project, we had such a brilliant time. I completely forgot to record any of it.
No. Oh.
And then you were on my radio show a couple of weeks ago, and we hardly talked about your work at all because
Very little. We were too busy solving the problems of the universe and speculating as to how things work, and we just crossed so many topics and boundaries.
absolutely loads of transgression all over the place, as it should be. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your work?
Well, the work that I do in the arts is writing for performance, and it's mainly comedy slash lesbian slash dark, spooky, horror-y, like that, really, with a comedy sort of groove to it. I'm fascinated by that intersection. So
I was going to say that's one hell of a combination.
Yeah. I think it appeals to like three different audiences. So you've got the LGBT audience, you've got the horror audience, and you've got the comedy audience. So I think I know intersectionality is all the rage nowadays, isn't it? And I think if you can like work that in, it'll bring like the, different heats to it. I'm very keen to, try diverse things. I mean, as our radio show chat sort of meandered on, it's just apparent that I do get sort of fascinated with things and sort of go off on I'll talk about the universe, or I'll sort of get really fascinated by the operation of particular words, or I'm a bit nerdy. I used to collect dictionaries and get fascinated by particular words and get sort of almost on a loop in my head. I'd choose a word and I'd learn it and I'd deliberately use it in various essays. I remember one of my lecturers saying, it's great that you're using these words, but just like, try and be natural about it and try not to obfuscate with her actual word use. So yeah.
Which you then started using in every opportunity.
Absolutely. I like a bit of obfuscation. Sticking that in somewhere.
Brilliant. So university, was that, did you study comedy writing at university?
We did an element of that, yeah. It was mainly drama and film and theatre, and there was a component which was writing for performance, and I had I liked sort of exploring mental health as a topic as well, and I think that stems from I had 6 months off at university because I really wasn't very well, and it was sort of depression and anxiety, and I'd lost weight and shit like that. Sorry, stuff like that. And after that, I had to catch up, and I ended up writing a play in 2 weeks and submitting that, and it sort of grew from there, really. At uni, you ended up doing a ton of drama. I mean, like, we had 25 plays a year going on. It was really exciting place. This is Manchester Uni. So you could go from a Shakespeare to an Ibsen to Dario Fo, or something really interesting, modern, Edward Bond we did. And it just really amped up the enthusiasm. We took an Andrea Dunbar to Edinburgh, and I ended up writing, directing and performing a sketch show, and it was just a really intense hotbed of talent and trying things out if you wanted to try stuff out, and just taking a chance. And you just had a built-in audience as well, which was great. You publicized in a small area, and it was just, ready-made for theatre. It was a great experience. So I got a lot out of that, and it started me just thinking about writing for performance. I thought about like when I was a teenager, I was writing sketches for things, and I think it just grew from there, really.
Fantastic. So for performance, is that stage, is that screen, is that radio, or combination?
Combination. I love writing a radio play at the moment, and it's a different skill. I was listening to some Catherine Jakeways the other day on Radio 4, and she's so good. And it was just a lovely idea, really lovely idea. So you get two people joining on a train at, I think, Paddington, and you get sort of the start of it, everybody's sort of jostling, and this is like pre-lockdown, pre anything to do with COVID. And people are just like being sort of like a bit narky with each other, and then there's a male and a female, and they're sort of heading out to Cornwall, I think Exeter, maybe Torquay, somewhere down there. And it's just the story of their journey and the evolution of the sounds around them and the evolution of their conversation, where they just sort of chill out and relax and start properly chatting, and the stress just ebbs away. And it's a beautiful thing that she's created. She's quite prolific, and I have such a love for radio. I wrote a lot of sketches for the BBC last year for their Grin Up North programme, and the great thing about that is that you can voice some of them as well. You can, be that's my first time of actually being in a writer's room full of comedy writers and shooting out ideas, and it was brilliant, really good. And unfortunately, because of the lockdown, it just had to stop. So we can't do that at the moment. So we're sort of thinking of different ways of thinking around it. But that audio side of things is really fascinating. And I used to write adverts for radio, and it was always present, the comedy in messing around. It was such a stressful environment that we just used to make each other laugh all the time. And I've never laughed so much in an office in my life before, we all got sent home on beta blockers. Oh dear. So yeah. But yeah, I'm doing the radio thing at the moment. But I've made my first funded film last year, which was just a really short film. And that was a fabulous experience. I really enjoyed it. Just in particular, the development of my script. It started as one thing, and then it sort of grew, and we lost a character that wasn't necessary, and sort of explored the language of the thing and expanded, because my sketches can be quite wordy and dense. And this is film, which gives you room to breathe. And it's like, when they make a film out of a novel, and people aren't happy with it, having read the novel, because they've missed out this plot line and they've done this. And if they actually filmed the actual novel, it would be about 3 days long or something. And it was the same process, even just for a little sketch, just narrowing it down, what you critically need in that environment, what you want to happen, and what you want to explore, and strengthening things and funnying it up, gagging it up. And working on things like props and the visual side of things, really telling a story visually as well. It was a fascinating process. I really enjoyed it. I'm keen to do more of that. I got fascinated by, there's a 1970s film called Suspiria. I don't know whether Dario Argento. And they remade it, and they sort of did a slightly, quite a different version of the remake. But I like the original, and it is like cheesy, and it is like chewing up the scenery, etc. But the look of it, and how like European film have really got this nailed, the look of it, the color of it, that was inspiring to my film. I wanted, again, lesbian horror comedy, but that was like the horror element of it, and trying to get the influence of color and ways of expressing the appearance and texture of blood. And I had to think of various. It was set in a hairdressers, and we had to make a prop of a color chart. And I'd started off in years ago when I wrote the sketch with certain colors, and we sort of went through them. But because of the influence of Suspiria, I made the colours more just dark and nasty, and to do with blood and human grime, and kind of the seamier side of life, just to put that, flush that through the film, if you like. And that was the funnest thing. And I worked with this great props guy as well, John Noble, who just made a color chart with all the little tufts of hair and everything from nothing. He's like an absolute genius with props. So yeah, I loved the whole process, and working with the team behind that, it was great. I'd love to do that again. I'd continue with women, themes of women, lesbian themes, and yeah, to sort of explore that further. I'm very keen to put women's stories in what I do, because I mean, how many superhero films are there out at the moment? Like, is it maybe 50, 60 million? I think, possibly, at an outside guess. And very little of that has to do with my life. I mean, I know I'm not the target audience. However, I am the second target audience. The biggest target audience is teenage boys, like 12 to late 20s, I think. So it's not just the teenagers, it's the older chaps as well. Males in that bracket. And then the second most popular audience is the over 50 market, which is where, you know, the more mature people come in. And I'm keen to explore that as well. And you don't get it really represented except in that twee British way. So you'll get old people who are living a tragic life somewhere, and then they meet somebody, and then miraculously they find they're able to achieve something. And it's not kind of my area. I want to make it realer than that. I feel like films like that are explored from an outsider's point of view, like it's young people making a film about old people without actually living or being with an older person or a middle-aged person. It seems like that to me anyway. So yeah, exploring that.
Definitely, so as soon as I'll be joining the
I'm sure that's not true, Lisa.
You know, yeah, absolutely. I do like these tales of, you know, overcoming
obstacles. Yeah, it's a very British thing, isn't it? It's the underdog, you know, from set in Sheffield, and these unemployed guys, and they suddenly have to take a chance on stripping for a living, and then, you know, that works out extremely well for them, and they overcome various difficulties. Or a bunch of old people, and then they're living a tragic life, but then they learn to dance, and that brightens them up, and it expands their field. And it's always this underdog hitting adversary. Is that right? Hitting. What's the word I'm going for there? Hitting.
Adversary?
Yeah, something like that. Hitting some sort of a barrier, and then overcoming it, and like their life has changed, and they've, you know, grown as people, and it's a nice trope. But I think we also have other things that we can explore. I mean, did you see Lady Macbeth?
I haven't seen it. It's got Florence Pugh in it.
Yeah, and she's mint in that. She's really good. And it's a great pared back film. There's like 3 principal characters. It's set in the wilds of God knows where, like Northumberland or something. And it looks gorgeous with the film that they make in the outside. But it's set in the 1800s, and it's just delightfully basic story, but done extremely well. And it's not about, you know, it doesn't feature cliches like an underdog. I think it's a great story, and it's really well told. Something like that, you don't have to have all the bells and whistles and all the fancy CGI stuff. I mean, I don't know about you, I find CGI, it can be quite ridiculous at times, and there can be an over reliance on it. So just as a proper human female story done really well. Yeah,
dark lesbian horror story, no one overcoming anything.
Well, you know, obviously your characters are going to grow, but I don't want to take on I don't feel the need to take on things like Uh, oh, have you seen that? Have you seen the SNL version of the Black Widow trailer? That's fabulous. Black Widow. It's what you call her, isn't it? What's her name? Oh God, this is menopause. I've forgotten her name. Really massive American actress. She was in Lost in Translation.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Her. Anyway, so I've got a fly on my screen. She's sort of is in a Black Widow type outfit, but with a pink cardigan, and she's like walking in the streets of New York in high heels, and then she sort of trips over and breaks her heel, but then she meets the person who is a hero, sweeps in to save her, and that's how she meets somebody. And it's just like, yeah, that's all rom-coms, isn't it? And that's like the Hollywood like structure of doing things. And it's fine up to a certain age, I think, and then beyond that you're thinking there's more. This isn't real enough. I want something realer than that. So,
absolutely. Well, I really look forward to I hope people chuck loads of money and studios at you and let you, because I'd love to see some of this stuff, and by the time it's out, I'll be the right age for the audience.
oh, bless you. Yeah.
We're already pretty
We've got a long time to go yet, though.
So it's been a delight to speak to you, and we've kept it down fairly well. I'm quite proud. We've kept pretty much on track. But as I say, we must meet up not on camera, not recording, not supposed to be even recording. Just hang out and put the universe to rights.
That'd be lovely. That'd be lovely. Cool.